Well, one thing that I try to implement in my own classes is that students appear to learn better when they feel that they are invested in what they do. And one thing that can make students feel that they are invested in what they do is that they can make decisions, they can have choices. So let's say that you're doing a lab experiment and you get sort of a cookbook instruction sheet on how to do the experiment. Sometimes you can go through the motions and execute every step of the laboratory experiment, but many times you might not even know what it is that you're doing. You just go through the motions, but not a lot is going on up here in terms of the cognitive processes. But when students are given choices, when they are assigned with doing experiments that does this, but they are not told how to do that, they need to come up with their own procedure, their own experimental design, their own data collection technique, then their own data analysis method, then it pretty much starting to look like doing a research project. In this case, of course, on a smaller scale, it is not open-ended typically, but it has many of the elements of research. And I think that students learn the best when they do research. So my advice to students is to start being engaged in research as early as is possible. In GGC, students have options to do guided research, part of STEC 4500, for example, is a course that many School of Science and Technology majors take. But students can do research even before that. They can just knock on faculty doors and say, you teach molecular biology, you teach cell biology, you teach organic chemistry, you teach physics. I'm very interested in the topic. Is there anything that I can do to participate in research in your group? And students can start doing it already in their freshman year. And I think that students who would do that will be well on their track to become researchers later on. One of the things that graduate school admission committees look at is participation in past research, specifically if there was any co-authorship of papers that were published in research journals. I think the idea is that the best indicator for future success is past success. And what graduate school is about success as a researcher. So if there is evidence for being successful at it before, that would be the best indication for success in graduate school, much more than your grades. And some people say that being successful at research and being successful at coursework are two parallel sets of skills with little overlap between the two. So maybe you can get great skills, but you're not an original thinker. And many times to get good grades in a course, you don't need to be an original thinker. You just need to know what others have thought of before you. When you have students make choices and design their own experiment, then they sometimes think of ideas that are original. And they can say that. They can say that some groups in the laboratories that I teach, they come up with new ideas, different from the ideas that I had when I designed this lab assignment. They come up with original ideas, and they love it when they do so. And sometimes those are great ideas. And when the opportunity arises, then I will try to interest the students in writing a paper to either a journal for undergraduate research or a journal about science pedagogy with the new ideas that they had. And I think that this is the best thing that a student can do in order to prepare themselves for graduate school, which is traditionally where researchers are trained. I think that it's also part of something that we hear a lot at GGC, which is engagement. If you make choices, you also tend to think of what you're doing as if you own it. And if you own it, you're engaged. So I think that this is also a great way for students